Quest to Succeed. Chapter 9. The villagers provided soldiers for the emperor's army. This was the responsibility of the village head, known as the Lambardar, to liaise with the government officials in the recruitment of soldiers. This system ended when India became a republic in 1950. Army recruitment was open for everyone. Young people could go and take health tests and other examinations for recruitment and join the army if selected. Weddings were a big occasion in these localities. These took place mostly in summer season, but sometimes in winter as well. Marriages could not happen within the same village in northern India, but this rule did not apply to southern states of India. The caste system was extraordinarily strong in villages. The boy and the girl should belong to the same caste or community. The parents arranged marriages for their girls in another village. Agents went around in search of a match. When the date of a marriage was decided by the families, the groom's side would bring a wedding party of about 30 people to the bride's village. This party was welcomed by the girl's parents and their near and dear. Bullock carts, chariots, rath, driven by oxen or horses, were the means of transport. Once or twice, Jay saw that a wedding party came to his village by a bus. The village roads were not good for buses. There was always a band to play music. Boys danced in front of the wedding procession. The party was then taken to a big hall. The villages had quite a few big halls where marriage parties could stay for a day or two. Food was a great attraction on this occasion. Some people attended weddings only because of food. Wheat-based fried food, vegetables cooked with spices, and sweet dishes were served to guests and relatives. During Jay's sister's wedding, his dad had 7 diverse types of sweets made for the wedding guests. Pure cow ghee was used to prepare sweets and other food. The sweets were beautifully arranged in plates. The villagers were aware of this. Jay was asked by a family who lived near his grandfather's shop to arrange sweets in plates for the wedding party. He did that and helped in other ways as well. When Jay was a child of 10 years, he was excited to observe the village wedding parties and would wear new or shiny clothes, thinking that new clothes were worn at weddings. At one time, his grandfather asked him, "Why are you wearing new clothes?" and stated that the wedding was not in your family. Jay replied, "I wanted to watch the procession and look good." One of his uncles lived on the other side of the village. Jay's cousin's marriage took place when he was 12 years old. The groom's father brought a disc jockey to entertain the guests and the villagers. The jockey had Hindi cinema songs. He asked Jay to select the records and songs. They were sitting in a room, and the loudspeaker was placed on a tree so the villagers could also enjoy the music. Jay liked it very much. He felt that he was being noticed and given some importance, if not respect. One thing Jay especially remembered was when he was asked by an adjoining house resident, but very well acquainted with his family, Divesh, to attend his younger brother Vinesh's wedding party, which was going to another village. Jay sought his dad's permission and agreed to attend the wedding party. He was invited to sit with the groom in the chariot, Rath, which he found extremely comfortable and respectful. On reaching the bride's village, the groom, Vinesh, told the bride's villagers that Jay was his younger brother. He was thrilled with this introduction and appreciated it very much that he was not an ordinary guest, but was remarkably close to the groom and his family. The wedding party stayed in the bride's village for 2 days. The food was superb. He enjoyed it very much, especially the hot jalebis, curly Indian sweet. When the marriage party was returning from the bride's village, he sat with the bride and the groom in the beautifully decorated and covered chariot, which protected them all from the sun. That was the greatest fun. He enjoyed it very much. It became a reminiscence forever. Wedding gifts, jewelry, and utensils were also procured from cities. There were stores specializing in these commodities. The shops were alongside each other and kept stocks of clothes, utensils, jewelry, spices, dry fruits, and fruits. The vegetable market was separate, where fresh vegetables were brought every day from villages and from the outskirts of the city. The cities and towns were places for trading and transaction of goods. From these marketplaces, goods were sent to other parts of the country. The village farmers brought their surplus crops to these markets in bullock carts to sell and obtain money. They bought goods and clothes for their families there. The villages and cities had divergent lifestyles. If someone criticized the villagers as rough people, Jay used to say that he was also a villager and came from a village where his family and friends still lived. In the later part of the 20th century, some villagers started to move to live in cities and towns in search of employment and education for their children. The children attended secondary schools, colleges, and universities in cities which were not available in villages. They were still in contact with their villages, where they had agricultural land and grew crops. They used to work on farms. Now they hired workers to look after the crops. They provided employment to landless workers in the villages. Some of them leased their land to other villagers and received part of the crop or money. Jay recalled a farmer who lived near his grandfather's shop. He had 3 sons. He and his wife had asthma. They both died in their 50s. Their eldest son was in his early 20s. For a brief period, he joined the Indian Army. After his parents' death, he returned to the village and started to work on the farms. A few years later, he got married and had a son within a year. His brothers looked fine, though the middle one, Jeet, had speech problem and could not speak properly. Most people could understand what he was communicating. He was healthy, polite, and behaved normally, but was mentally disabled. He was helpful to Jay's brother Gautam and did some heavy work for him, especially in cutting fodder for the cows and buffaloes and lifting heavy bags. Like his brothers, Jeet had a share in the family agricultural land. In one sense, he had inherited a small piece of farmland, but he could not work on it. His elder brother was responsible for growing crops and paying bills. Jeet was provided food and clothes. He, however, used to spend a great deal of time at Jay's grandfather's shop, just sitting there and helping anyone who needed to carry things from the shop to other places. When Jeet's brother had a son, his attitude changed. He started to pay full attention to his offspring and forgot the welfare of his brothers. He also felt that his brothers would receive their share of the agricultural land. He started to discriminate against them and did not provide food on time. Sometimes he shouted at them. Because of the neglect and starvation, the youngest brother, who was only 8 years old, died within months. No one in the village noticed what was happening to the boys. A few months later, Jeet also looked pale and weak. He was not provided food on time. He did not beg, steal, or ask for anything. Sometimes he used to eat raw food on the farms, especially at night when he was very hungry. He would fill his stomach with green peas, barley, corn, sugar cane, or any other edible food. One night he was found dead on a farm because of cold and hunger. When Jay discovered of his death, he cried and felt that he could not do anything for Jeet, whom he liked because he understood his problems. Jeet was only 14 years old, well built, and always looked good. Jay thought about the conduct of his brother. What kind of man was he, who could not look after his younger brothers? They had a right to land and their share of crops grown on those farms. Jay felt that there should have been a system in the village where physically or mentally handicapped children or people with problems could obtain some assistance and justice in society.